Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are talking about the whole UFC 284 card. I'm gonna have individual fight breakdowns out, of course, but I'm gonna do the full card today, and then throughout the rest of the week, the individual fights will be posted. But either way, 13 fights. Let's talk about them. So first, we're starting off with Zubura Turkinov versus Elvis Brenner. Turkinov, 20 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw. He's 2-2-1. Hasn't really lived up to that potential that he had so much of coming into the UFC. And I believe he has a win over... No. Never mind. He does not. Never mind. But, again, either way, yeah, I don't think he's really lived up to that hype. He's looked decent at times. Lost a split decision against Renato Marcano. Had a draw with Lerone Murphy in a fight that was weird, to say the least. Then he got back on track and beating Kevin Aguilar, which, okay. And then lost a split decision against Hakeem Dawodu. And then beat Ricardo Ramos a little over a year now. He's a minus 500 favorite. 32 years old, 5'8", with a 68-inch reach. His stance is very flat-footed, not a lot of movement, just marching forward a little bit. So look out for some leg kicks from Elvis Brenner, 13 wins, 3 losses. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights, 2-0 in his last 2 fights. Huge underdog at plus 400. 25 years old, stands 5'9", and there's no reach. But I expect his boxing to be really good. I expect this fight to be surprising, and I'm actually going with Elvis Brenner. I think his boxing is going to surprise Turkinov. I do think the ground game of Turkinov can cause Brenner some problems, but I do believe his striking is going to surprise him enough to where he's able to give a little, cause some little issues. I mean, he has an armbar win, a rear naked choke win, a triangle win, an armbar, a rear naked choke, an armbar, a punch, armbar. So, again, I just really like the possibility of the ground game, the ground transitions with these guys, but I like the striking overall because the movement is better from Elvis. He's faster. He's going to have to be worrisome of the cage and stuff like that. But I have Elvis Brenner winning this fight. Next one is Blake Bilder versus Shane Young. Now, we haven't seen Shane Young in a little bit. Not as long as I thought it had been. A year, little over a year. Or almost 2 years. 3 months of almost being 2 years. But yeah, Shane Young, 13 wins, 6 losses. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. 29 years old. Stands 5'8" with a 72.5-inch reach. Fighting Blake Bilder, 7 wins, no losses, 1 draw. 130 favorite for Shane Young, slight and even, plus 110 for Bilder. 32 years old, 5'8" with a 68.5-inch reach, 4-inch reach advantage for Shane Young. And in the last 5 fights for Blake Bilder, decision, armbar, triangle, TKO, KO, and rear naked choke from the Contender Series against Alex Morgan. Again, we've seen some good stuff from El Animal, a nickname from Blake Bilder, but Shane Young, I just think coming off of 2 losses, getting finished by Ludovic Klein, it was a nasty head kick, then uppercut. Then he lost his next one almost 2 years against Omar Morales. I just think he comes up better in this fight. I think his striking is going to look better. I expect him to be on point in this one for being out for so long as he is. And they are in Australia. So, again, I really like Shane Young in this one. I got Shane Young winning this fight. Next, we have Loma Lookboonmee versus Elise Reed. I really like Loma Lookboonmee against Elise Reed. We have seen some good things from Elise Reed, but ground game is still very, very questionable. Loma, 7 wins, 3 losses, 3-2 in her last 5 fights. Her last loss was against Lupita Godinez, and then the loss before that was 2 years ago against Angela Hill. 27 years old, 5'1" with 61.5-inch reach. She's fighting Elise Reed, who's 6-2, 3-2 in her last 5 fights, plus 230 underdog for Reed, minus 275 for Lubomi. 30 years old for Elise Reed, 5'3" with a 63-inch reach, so 1.5-inch reach advantage for Elise Reed. Yeah, Reed. Again, I really like Lubomi in this one. I think she just is able to outwork her, and I think her takedowns, if need be, if she needs to do it, I think they will be there for her. She has a couple decisions on her thing. She's not a huge finisher, at least not in the UFC. She hasn't been. She's 4-2 in the UFC, looking for that finish. She has split decision, lost a decision to Hill, decision, lost a decision. So, yeah, she's looking for that, and this might be one of those fights she might be able to get to, especially if he gets in down a position like mount or back mount. I like Loma Lubomi in this fight. Next, we have Jack Jenkins versus Don Shainis. Don Shainis got finished real quick in his last fight 3 months ago against Sadiq Yusuf. Very short notice fight. Now he's getting a second opportunity. Getting the second opportunity. 12 wins, 4 losses, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. He's a plus 260 underdog. He's 31 years old, stands 5'6", with a 67-inch reach. Fighting Jack Jenkins, 10 wins, 2 losses, from Australia. They're in Australia. He's a minus 330 favorite. 29 years old, 5'7", with a 68-inch reach, 1-inch reach advantage for Jack Jenkins. And Jack Jenkins has won quite a bit in a row. He's 10-2 overall, and he's won 7 in a row. He won the Contender Series ground and pound, and the third round showed quite a bit in there. He went 4-2 in the Hex 16 to 2019, and then to 2020 to 2022, he was 3-0. But ground and pound, leg kick finish, knee punches finish, choke, first round, rear naked choke in the first round, decision. Was finished armbar and by rear naked choke back to back, 17 and 2018, but has won every one since then. I like Jack Jenkins in this. I think being home especially is going to give him a huge advantage for being home. Also, he's a big finisher. Now, experience-wise, Don Shainis definitely has the experience. I mean, he has 16 fights. 2-0 in Bellator, 0-1 in the UFC, obviously. But he has a lot of finishes. You know, the thing about it is he hasn't finished a lot of good guys. Not that the other guy has finished a whole ton either, but just the way they strike, the way they put themselves out there, I have Jack Jenkins probably getting a nasty KO win. I like Jack Jenkins. I like Don Shainis. I've watched him in Bellator. I thought he was really good, but he's not as technical or as powerful as Jack Jenkins. Don Shainis does have quite a bit of finishes on his record, but Jack Jenkins, to me, is just a better fighter, and that's why he gets the win. It improves to 11-2. Next on the board is Jamie Mullarkey versus Francisco Prado. Jamie Mullarkey, 15 wins, 5 losses, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Last win against Michael Johnson, split decision. Thought Michael won that fight, but I guess it is what it is. 28 years old, 6'2", with a 74-inch reach. Fighting Francisco Prado, 11 wins, no losses, plus 210 underdog. 20 years old, young as hell, 5'10", with a almost 71-inch reach, about little over 3 inches in reach for Jamie Mullarkey. The thing about this, and again in every Jamie Mullarkey fight, is he fought for SIM, lost a decision. Fought Jalen Turner, absolutely destroyed Jalen Turner. Jesus. Again, I like the finishing ability, I like the speed, and I don't like the fact that Jamie Mullarkey gets hit in all of his fights. Jamie Malarkey is always getting hurt. He's always getting stung. And is he tough? Yes. Very, very tough. Now, he is South Wales, Central Coast. I'll probably have some fans being in Australia. Leave a comment down below if you think that's true or not. But, again, I have Francisco Prado, probably getting a pretty nasty knockout victory. Next is Gleison Rodriguez versus Shannon Ross. Late replacement for Gleison Rodriguez. 7 wins, 2 losses, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. 27 years old, 5'6" with a 67-inch reach. Shannon, the Turkish Delight Ross, 13 wins, 6 losses. He's also 3-2 in his last 5 fights, but he's 1-2 in his last 3. Contender Series against Vinicius Salvador, lost 5 months ago. TKO, KO. Before that, beat Devon Frelo, 6-3. Lost to Steve Erceg by rear naked choke 2 years ago. He's a plus 220 underdog, 33 years old, stands 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. 1-inch reach advantage for Gleison Rodriguez. I like Gleison Rodriguez in this one. I think he's more explosive. I think he has better footwork, and I just think he's not really going to be there to be hit. Shannon Ross, as we even seen on the Contender Series, I know he's fighting at home, but even at the Contender Series, we see him be very, very hittable or very, very willing to exchange. I like that chance for Gleison Rodriguez. Next is Joshua Cubillo versus Melsik Basanganai. Joshua Cubillo, 10 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw. He's 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Basically a pick'em fight, which seems a little crazy to me. 28 years old, 5'10", with a 73-inch reach. Melsik, 7 wins, 1 loss, won quite a bit in a row. 31 years old. 5'9", with a 70-inch reach. 3-inch reach advantage for Joshua Cubillo. Now, the thing about this is we've seen Melsik look really, really good. We've watched him fight Colin Anglin. He finished, destroyed him. Bruno Souza beat him up. The thing I like about this one with Joshua Cubillo is his pace and his cardio. The thing I don't like about it is, again, it's another one of those fights where you have one guy who is hittable or willing to get hit to hit back. With Melsik, more of a counter guy, more of a look for openings, but when he opens and he throws those strikes when there's openings, they're pretty devastating. We've seen him against Colin Anglin. We see him even when he went to decision. Pretty devastating. Obviously, he didn't get the finish in that one, but still beat him up for 3 rounds. I have Melsik Basanganai in this one. Possibly could get a finish out of there, or we're just going to see some pretty striking for 3 rounds. Either way, I think he beats up Joshua Cubillo. This is a hard matchup for Joshua Cubillo. Hard matchup. Next is Tyson Pedro versus Modestas Bukauskas. Tyson Pedro, 9 wins, 3 losses. He's 3-2 in his last 5 fights. Minus 250 favorite. Minus 250. 31 years old. 6'3" with a 79-inch reach. Modestas, 13 wins, 5 losses. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Did get cut from the UFC. He's won 2 fights since then. He's a plus 200 underdog. Just turned 29 years old. Stands 6'3" with a 78-inch reach and 1-inch reach advantage for Tyson Pedro. Again, this is another fight where Modestas doesn't have a whole lot to prove. I mean, he does because he wants to get back in the UFC, but he took his fight on short notice. This is a win-win either way. No matter how, unless he gets absolutely starched quickly, which it's not going to happen because Pedro isn't that type of guy. He's going to wait a little bit. And honestly, I like Modestas in this one. I think this fight alone is harder for Tyson Pedro than the previous matchup because Modestas has this energy about him, especially winning his last 2, getting back into the UFC, talking about it, being vocal about wanting to be back in the UFC. He's back in there. There's no chance he's not gonna, bring everything he has, especially fighting in Australia, fighting a guy that's from Gold Coast, Queensland, Australia. I mean, this is huge for both guys. And honestly, I'm feeling Modestas wins this one. Let me know if you guys agree or if you disagree. Let me know. Next is Jimmy Crute versus Alonzo Menifield. Jimmy Crute, 12 wins, 3 losses, 2-3 in his last 5 fights. 0-2 in his last 2 fights. 26 years old, 6'2" with a 74-inch reach. Alonzo Menifield, 13 wins, 3 losses, 4-1 in his last 5 fights. His only loss since then is against William Knight. Plus 190 underdog for Alonzo Menifield, 35 years old. Crazy. 6 foot tall with a 76-inch reach. 74 for Jimmy Crute, 6'2" in height also for Jimmy Crute. 2-inch reach advantage for Alonzo Menifield, 26 like I said for Jimmy Crute, plus or minus 225 favorite for Jimmy Crute. Messed that all up, Jesus. But again, speed advantage all day is going to be Jimmy Crute. It's going to be up to Alonzo Menifield to cover the distance, pick his shots. The thing I like Alonzo Menifield in this one for is because of the power and how he creates distance. And he's been nasty in his last couple fights. Especially in his last one against Misha Cirkunov. He was nasty. Nasty. It's up to Jimmy Crute to solve that puzzle. How does he slow him down? How does he keep him at bay? How does he stop him from exploding? That's something. That's something I don't know. So again, I like Alonzo Menifield in this one. Unfortunately, I think he gets a finish, and that will be 2 finishes back to back. Even though the first one was a doctor stoppage leg injury. I'm sorry to pick Alonzo Menifield and not pick Jimmy Crute. I like Jimmy Crute. It just, with how these guys match up, they're going to be swinging, they're going to be banging. So I like Alonzo Menifield in that. If they're going to do it like that, that's who I pick. Because he has power and he explodes. I mean, that's what he does when he fights. It's crazy. Next, we have Randy Brown versus... Oh, no, we don't. I missed one. Let's go back down. Justin Tafa versus Parker Porter. Justin Tafa, 5 wins, 3 losses. He's 2-3 in his last 5 fights. Did get a win a year ago against Harry Hunsucker. Minus 140 favorite. Is from Australia. 29 years old. Did miss heavyweight limit last time, which is unbelievable. 6 foot tall with a 74-inch reach. Parker Porter, 13 wins, 7 losses, 3-2 in his last 5 fights. His last loss was against Jailton Almeida 8 months ago, which, yeah, obviously, we all told you that. 37 years old, 6 foot tall with a 75-inch reach, 1-inch reach advantage for Parker Porter. The thing is, output-wise, cardio, who can go for all 3 rounds at a certain pace is Parker Porter. The difference in this matchup is the power from Justin Tafa. Can Parker Porter eat that power for the first round and keep going if Tafa gets tired? Yeah, I think so. Now, can Tafa put Parker Porter out cold? Yes, he also has that power. But I don't think Parker Porter is going to give this space to Justin Tafa. And something we have seen from Parker Porter in his couple wins, in his 3 wins, is Josh Parisian stayed close, beat him up, dirty boxing. Chase Sherman, again, stayed on him. Took him down, stayed in his face. Alan Baudet, rough second round. First round was pretty good. Rough second round. Then what? Yeah. So, and the Josh Parisian one 2 years ago, if I'm not wrong, no, that was on Josh Parisian. But either way, against Jailton Almeida is just another animal right now. But I have Parker Porter winning this. I just think he gets it done. I like his style. He's fun. He will entertain the striking. Hopefully not too much, because that would be a big, big issue. Next, we have Randy Brown versus Jack Della Maddalena. Randy Brown, 16 wins, 4 losses, 4-1 his last 5 fights. His last loss 2.5 years ago against Vicente Luque. Lifted him up off the cage, kneed him in his face, put him out cold. It was beautiful. Plus 225 underdog, 32 years old. 6'3", 78-inch reach. Jack Della Maddalena, 13 wins, 2 losses, won a lot in a row. Minus 310 favorite. From Australia, Jamaica, fighting out of New York. From Australia, fighting out of Perth, Western Australia. 26 years old, 5'11", with a 73-inch reach. 5-inch reach advantage for Randy Brown, and he's going to be a whole lot taller. 5 inches in height, too. 4 inches in height from Brown. Jesus. Again, Randy Brown can keep his distance. He has nice leg kicks. He has nice teep kicks. He has nice front kicks. The issue is sometimes Randy Brown gets ahead of himself. He gets a little bit full of himself. And that's not something you can do with Jack Della. You can't do that. Jack has really good boxing combinations, really good movement. Does get hit, though. But again, his power, his speed, his combinations are nasty. He cuts off the octagon better than a lot of fighters. Say below him or above him. I like Jack in this fight, but don't count out Randy Brown. I don't think he should be a plus 250 underdog. I think that's a little crazy. I would imagine on fight day that's going to go down a little bit. But I do like Jack to win this because of the boxing. But Randy Brown with the leg kicks and the teeps and the front kicks can really, really make it interesting. It just, to me, Randy Brown doesn't stay focused enough all 3 rounds of that fight to say, oh, he could do that all 3 rounds. Now, he may be able to do it for a little bit, but when he doesn't, Jack, I think, is able to take a full advantage of that. Next is co-main event. Yair Rodriguez versus Josh Emmett. Yair Rodriguez, 14 wins, 3 losses. He's 3-1-1 in his last 5 fights. Minus 165 favorite, which, yeah, 30 years old, 5'11", with a 71-inch reach. Josh Emmett, 18 wins, 2 losses. Won quite a bit in a row. Some people thought he didn't beat Calvin Kattar. I personally thought he won. I thought every time he hit Kattar, his reactions were crazy. Output-wise, yes, Kattar was outlanding him, all those things, but judges scored it as damage-wise. At least that's what it looked like. A lot more damages were happening. Like I said, every time Emmett was hitting Kattar, he was reacting way more than Emmett was when Kattar was hitting him. He's a plus 140 underdog, 37 years old, 5'6" with a 70-inch reach, 5 inches in height for Rodriguez, and 1 inch in length in reach for Rodriguez as well. Jesus. Yeah, the name of the game of this one is, can Josh Emmett close the distance with the kicks? We already know Rodriguez is going to be kicking, be spinning, looking for knees, looking for jump kicks. Can Emmett close the distance to land his big, powerful punches? And to me, the biggest thing is Emmett does really good at putting pressure on guys, and he does a really good job of cutting angles. And because he cuts angles and he cuts off the cage, cuts off the octagon, which pushes Rodriguez backwards, he's not great moving backwards. We've seen a lot of that. He's also not great if he gets taken down. We've also seen that. His last loss was against Max Holloway. Close fight, showed a lot of toughness in that fight, but towards the 3rd, 4th, and 5th, he started to get a little bit outclassed, but looked good earlier on. Josh Emmett, I think Josh Emmett wins this. I think he's able to close that distance with the kicks because that's what Rodriguez is mainly going to be doing. Kicks, leg kicks, body kicks, and Emmett's going to close the distance. He is going to eat some. That's the question. How many can he eat before he goes down, and how many does he have to eat before he gets in front of Rodriguez and makes Rodriguez, for some reason, stand in front of him? That's what Emmett wants. He wants Rodriguez feeling like he has to trade with him. I like Josh Emmett because of the power, the speed, everything I talked about, the cardio. This is the time for Josh Emmett. If he doesn't, I think if he doesn't do it now, he's going to be 38 years old here soon. If he doesn't do it now, you're probably not going to see Emmett win that belt. But this is his best chance. I like Josh Emmett in this one. I think he gets past Yair Rodriguez's kicks. That doesn't mean he's going to get past Volkanovski if he fights Volkanovski. But I do think he gets past the kind of one-dimensional of Rodriguez. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. Hit the thumbs up button as well. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. And as always, peace.